welcome back to another episode from Ratio's Applied Theory series. This is a video podcast providing practical insights and strategies tailored for SaaS sales and marketing teams. And through these conversations, we bridge the gap between marketing theories and real-world applications to hopefully equip you with the tools to thrive in today's extremely competitive landscape, especially within the health tech sphere. And so today I am joined by our incredibly talented design and development director, Kyle Numann. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Happy to be here.
Awesome. So today I know we want to talk about how marketers and their teams can really build digital platforms designed for growth and really scale. So there's a lot to consider as health tech digital stories unfold, much of which relies on, flexibility and modification over time. But before we do that, Kyle, take a moment to share a bit about your background, what led you into the world of development and design and ultimately your career at Ratio.
All right. So in the 20th century, the computer was developed.
Yeah, start way back.
We got a computer in my child household when I was maybe 10 years old, and I was just kind of fascinated by it. And so in addition to running around outside, I would come in and just play around on the computer sometimes all night long. Taught myself, basic graphic design and web development back when it was still carried out in a text editor.
Okay.
And I've sort of been following that path ever since.
That's amazing. And also not surprising at all that you would start that early on in your computer venturing.
Oh yeah. It was just like another world where different things were possible.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so much of customer success relies heavily on adapting to changing landscapes of marketing. So talk to us a little bit about how teams can ensure data-driven decisions are being made when introducing their brand digitally. And I think this could apply to website and SaaS platform development, but talk to us about maybe just how you think about that when launching sites for our clients.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mixture of user experience best principles, which are certainly constantly evolving, but those are anchored in human experience. So those stay a little more stable. And combining that with the foundational work of research that sometimes gets overlooked in the process of creating a brand or creating a website. So that foundational work is really important to discover who it is you're trying to target, who you want to be seeing and using your product, whether it's the brand impressions or the website, and really having a good understanding of who it is that you're making this for.
Yeah, for sure. I think oftentimes I feel like I see, especially in early stage companies, they, get kind of the bones of their product together and they just immediately go to, okay, I'm going to go to a Squarespace site and just launch this up, throw it up there without really being intentional, like you said, about more of the market research component of that from a marketing perspective. It's one thing to do, product research and market research in the realms of the experience and tool you're building in the space. But then to do that from a marketing perspective is a whole different ballgame. So I know at Ratio, we talk a lot about, building with experience in mind. And I think often when partnering with scaling teams who have hired their product team, their sales team and marketing team, shifting priorities in these silos can often cause experience disconnects, if you will, when it comes to developing a buyer journey from prospect to customer. So what are some of those sticky points? And I know we see it with our clients, but what are some of those sticky points in the consumer experience that are considered when you're building web platforms that are designed for that type of growth?
For sure. Yeah. You mentioned people working in an organization that are kind of siloed in their place.
Yeah.
And you always feel like the thing that you are most connected with is the most important. It can be really hard. I think it can be really hard for anybody to break out of that mindset and break out of that subjective experience, which is why it's just really helpful to have a objective view from someone outside your organization to take a look at everything and sort of pull out the most important pieces for the target audience. That can be really hard to do when you're in the weeds of creating a product or pulling teams together and organizing, different departments.
Yeah, just like the whole idea of being more buyer centric in your processy would require you to do the kind of that deep research and what are the problems and challenges that we're trying to solve for. And I know we do that kind of in a more first person narrative when we are building out our buyer matrix for clients, but that effectively sets the tone, right, for like all web development, all UX approach and messaging that of course ties into that.
Sure. Yeah. The buyer matrix is kind of the cornerstone. We have to dig in and get an idea of what the buyers are looking for, where they're coming from, what their problems are, so that we can not only speak to that, but we can kind of guide them towards solutions that will actually help instead of just, sometimes you get caught up in wanting to flaunt the features of a product because you're very proud that you created those features and they might be really helpful. But if you don't frame them in a pragmatic sense, then you're not going to get people to understand the value that they have for them.
Yeah. And I've even noticed in conferences that our team or even our advisory board team has attended, there's a lot of conversation right now that like no one really cares about point solutions right now, right? Like people are very interested in the connected story of what this platform can enable from like a overarching perspective of, healthcare system structuring. So I think it's, this kind of reinforces the the need to do that work early on and not kind of gravitate more towards the featured approach as you're sharing. Yeah. Do you have any good examples of maybe when we've kind of been through the buyer matrix process with teams, how that structure has been manifested or potentially reprioritized how they're crafting their messaging from like even just a sitemap perspective?
Yeah. Actually, let me think about that.
Yeah, there's I feel like it probably happens every time, right? Like where we see kind of the manifestation of how we are structuring user experience to not go towards like, oh, here's a series of different tools and,
right.
I don't know, diversifying.
It's always a struggle. I think the use case that we often see is clients that really want to champion all of their point solutions in the top navigation of a website. Mm-hmm. And we might be trying to guide them to more of a conceptual set of buckets, problems that need solving, as opposed to, like you say, point solutions and features that they really want to call out, that they're very proud of, that they've worked a long time for. But if you take a step back from that product engineer mindset, the objective path towards getting buyers to understand their solution is to resonate with the buyer's problem in the first place.
Yeah, very well said. What about, I want to talk a little bit about like in this process of operating, as you're mentioning, in more of that agile framework, how do we consider design for diverse populations when marketing health tech solutions? I mean, we have several, companies that we've worked with that are very focused on population health. That's certainly something top of mind for a lot of the CIOs that we've even had on the healthcare market matrix show. But I do think that design certainly can enable inclusivity. And I've certainly seen us in various projects that we've taken on take that approach to not only the messaging of the story of what this tech solution is solving for, but also just in the actual conceptual design process. So any thoughts or comments on that?
Sure. I mean, it kind of starts from the top and it goes all the way down to the roots. Everything from the structure of the site and the layout of the sections on the page can kind of support that multifaceted approach, that different people will be coming here with different expectations, different needs. And the sooner we can give them some taste of what they're looking for and send them in the right direction, the better positioned our clients will be to actually, serve up their solution. to the people that need it. And then it goes down to the smaller things like selecting imagery and layouts to make sure that we are representing kind of the variety of people that might be interacting with that website or that brand.
Yeah, for sure. I know we kind of touched a little bit on that in the Applied Theory series with Bennett, just the whole notion of like not gravitating towards kind of like your traditional photography that you see in the health care realm. Like it doesn't have to be that way. Like it can be, the story can actually be more rich if it's simplified in some capacities, or more conceptualized versus like quite literal photography of, a hospital room. So I know that's something that you're heavily involved with as well, and that we've seen you champion.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have, sometimes we need to advocate with our clients that we want to take a more conceptual approach. We want to be illustrating a feeling more than a concrete concept, because some of the concepts that we work with are really hard to visualize. Or if you visualize them, you kind of get into the trite imagery that's been played over and over, especially in the healthcare space. So finding ways to break out of that box and to show something in a more exciting light is one of the big challenges that we work with every day.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, to wrap things up a little bit, I know you and the team leverage obviously a variety of tools and resources to formulate creative strategy for our clients. Any worth noting to teams in the midst of considering their design strategy, or things that you're favoring these days? I know there's so many AI solutions out there that we leverage, but
certainly, yeah. We've got our tried and true tools such as WordPress, which we use to build all of our websites. I mean, it's such a flexible platform that you can really put a lot of planning into how you want to structure the data on the site to support an ongoing effort, to support new content being added, new content being featured in different places on the site. We have been incorporating some AI tools to give us a boost, to cut down on the kind of redundant work that isn't providing value from our standpoint as someone who is bringing our expertise. Try to cut down on the busy work so we can really provide value where we're doing the work that we do.
Yeah, and just being more strategic. Like we are, I would say, more strategic led. We're a more strategic led organization. So naturally freeing up that time to kind of automate what we can, but also focusing on more of the strategic approach. That's great.
Absolutely.
Awesome. And then also just like more generically, I guess, any predictions you have on just like the state of UX and how this might evolve over the coming years? I know that's very broad. You can take it wherever you'd like, Kyle.
Yeah, there are so many angles to it. I mean, there's the proliferation of new devices and new hardware means for us to interact with information. And we're always playing catch up with the different formats that people are able to consume information.
Right.
So we stay on top of that. There is certainly the wave of artificial intelligence tools that are coming our way, and we've always got to learn where they provide value and where they might get in the way or where they might lead us down the wrong trail. And we just want to position ourselves to be that human translation layer that takes the meaning, uses the right kind of tools, and provides a pragmatic solution.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, sounds great. I know for any of the tools that we do use, we can drop links in the comments below as well as we're sharing this video. But thank you again, Kyle, for joining us on the show. If you like this chat, be sure to rate and subscribe, and feel free to add again comments below on ongoing topics we should consider for upcoming shows. We're always eager to hear from you and what you're theorizing about as you craft messaging and marketing in the health tech landscape. So, and also be sure to check out our monthly newsletter, Insight Squared, where we share recaps of these episodes along with our Healthcare Market Matrix podcast hosted by Ratio's CEO, John Farkas. And we will see you next time.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.